New project to run alongside the British Mastiff that I'm building at the moment. Breakaway, always a good idea. So what have I got here? I've got a Leyland octopus with a trailer and 3 wire coils. Also got a Foden 8-wheeler. So where I was born and dragged up, more or less right behind us, just the other side of the railway lines, was a company called Glover's Cables, and it was quite a big plant in Trafford Park. It was quite a huge place really, just by Manchester docks, and they must have started before D-Day making an underwater cable. It wasn't actually a cable, it was a fuel pipe that stretched from the UK over to France, over to Dunkirk, because he couldn't get enough fuel for D-Day in tankers and ships, so they laid a pipe, and it was Glover's Cables that made the pipe. It was called the Pluto. It was either Pluto or Pluto Project, but they had a massive trestle with rollers that rolled right across the factory, over the roads, from Glover's, which is right behind where Old Trafford football ground is now, Manchester United's football ground. It's all gone now, of course, except the football ground. And it went from there and up to Manchester docks on the ship canal. I never saw it, I was just a bit too young. But they loaded the cable then onto cable laying ships, which then laid the cable across the channel, the English Channel. What I do remember about Glover's Cables is they had massive cable drums on top of wagons and took them out, and you used to see them going out all the time. And a lot of the ones that they used were Fodens with drop side backs on them, loading beds. I haven't got a Foden with a drop side loading bed, drop side back on it. So what I propose to do here is I'm going to take the bed off this one and put it on this one. There you go. Foden, drop side Foden. These were what they called chain wagons, and they had 6 posts and a chain going between them, and they used them on the brewers. It was a dray wagon really, but they didn't deliver to the pubs. They delivered to the distribution depots, if you like. So that's what that is. I've got several of these because I keep buying them. I've got a stock of them because I need something to do to keep me occupied, keep me out of mischief. These are the cable drums that I get for wire. I use loads and loads of wire. So what I intend to do is coat this with timber so that it comes out looking exactly like a cable drum. And the last time I made one of these, I used a bootlace and wound it round it, painted it black, and it looks just like a cable. I was quite happy with that. I can't show it to you because it was on a diorama. If you look on the channel and look around for the goods yard, 1960s goods yard, one of the railway wagons has a cable drum made out of this sitting on the back of it. So what the plan is there'll be three cable drums. That was probably a bit heavy for these, but I suppose half wound it'd make sense. So there's the 3 cable drums, and you used to load them so that you'd have weight over the back axle, and this one would go back a bit further. You wouldn't have it close up here. There was no power steering on the things. It'd be a nightmare to get it around corners, especially with a drag on it. So that's how they'll be loaded on. This trailer seems to be in more or less original condition. It looks as though it was the original painting on it. So I'll strip it down. There's not much to strip down. I'll get it in a bath of caustic soda and get all the paint off that and all the muck, get it all nice and as it was when it was first cast, basically ready for painting. A guy by the name of Dave has, I don't know his second name, very kindly sold me new tyres for them. You can just see those new rubber tyres. They're not like the original tyres that these things came with, which were more like, let's see if I can get one off. Yeah, it's coming off. But remember, these things are 60 years old, so that to be fair isn't bad coming off like that. So there's quite a difference in the tyres. They're the same size, but I'm going to replace them with those. Nice looking tyres, they'll look nice on it. So put that back on there. And what I'm then going to do is, with the motor, we'll pull, again, bought new tyres for it, we've got new tyres on there. And what we're going to do is take the back off. Somebody's already had a go at redoing this one, rejuvenating it, restoring it if you like. And they've painted it yellow, but you can actually see through the yellow paint, which is a bit odd. They've obviously done it with a brush and done it when they've still got a lot of the old paint on, the original paint on it. You can see on the fuel tank there, you can see through the paint on there. So what I'm going to do is take the back off it. As you can see, there's a screw there that shouldn't be there. That screw should be down there. And why they've done it, I've got no real idea, but it needs taking out. The chassis needs filling and putting there where it would carry a spare wheel. It would carry a spare wheel at the back there. So that comes off. While I'm at it, the whole thing will go in a caustic bath. All the wheels and axles will come off. This is in very good condition for 60 years old. They're normally very rusty. All the paint off it, nice and neat. That axle's very bent. We'll fix that as we go along. And it's the body I'm after. And the body will go on this one. So again, we'll put new tyres on this one. We'll take it all apart. Oh, that tyre's fallen off. Take it all apart in a caustic bath. Get all that paint off. It is the original paint, that, to be fair. Yeah, it's not been repainted, that. But we're going to take that body off and replace it with the yellow one. Then we're going to paint it a similar colour to this. Most of their motors, from my memory, most of their motors were a green, like an olive green, which isn't far from that. So what we'll have then is an 8-wheeler Foden drag. And I'm going to then load it with 3 cable drums. And when it's finished, it should look beautiful. There's a lot of shoulds in my world, and I'm doing this sort of stuff. So it's something I've not done before, and I'm going to give it a go. I've done it with a couple of Matchbox trucks and restored those. They look, in my opinion, they looked very nice. They really did look the business. And somebody else must have thought so as well, because the 3 that I restored all sold on eBay and paid for these. Thanks very much. I'll get this done, and then when I've got it all cleaned up, I'll make another video. In fact, no, when I've got it all dismantled and all in bits, I'll make a video then, a few minutes, and then I'll make videos as I go along so that it makes sense. Any questions? We've got them stripped down. Didn't take long, to be fair, about an hour. And what we got, this one all nice and straight. They seem to be from different eras, these as well. The plates for these 2 trucks are completely different, so I don't know what's going on there or why, whether this is the more modern one. This one's got little clips folded over on the inside. You probably can't see them because they're full of carpet. Well played with this truck. So I suspect that's the earlier one, and this one's one piece of metal with the ends folded out, so one piece punched out and then folded over. So that's that there. Some of the axles are very, very bent. You can see that one, it's in all shapes, isn't it? Goes around every direction. Metal wheels, they're all metal wheels, but they must have dipped them in paint because they're painted on the inside as well. Those tyres, that knackered. They're simply too perished to put back on. So again, new tyres for that one. This was a bit of a bugger to get off. The turntable for the little trailer. And as you can see, I've got to grind. What they've done is they put this on. Not that there's anything wrong with it. They put that on. They put a washer on it, which I have somewhere. There it is. Put a washer on it there, over the top, and then clouted it with a punch and bent the white metal over the top of it. Then very effective. It's lasted 60 years, hasn't it? So that's that. But it's off now, and it won't take long to put it back on. Anything that I can't get back in that sort of situation, I just rivet it, put a new rivet in, and that's the end of that. Done. Put him in there. So that's that. This one came apart really easily. All 4 axles. One of them's a bit bent, but it's not a problem to fix, and put them in a vise, and I put a bit of pressure on them, and they go straight. Simple as that. Unit, the chassis, cabin chassis, it's in pretty good condition, to be fair. Very dirty. I think it's had some plate, either that or it's been stored where there's a lot of dust. Looks like carpet fibres that were in it. I vacuumed a load of stuff off it, but that's okay. That'll clean up nicely. And as I say, the flap will be donated to that one. These holes I'll fill in, 1, 2, 3 of them. I'll file those down, grind those down, and then make it into a nice flat trailer, and it'll look nice. That get a rope and sheeted load on it when it's done. It'll look good. That's about it for this update. What's next is get it into a caustic bath and clean it all up, get it all cleaned up. I'll do you another video then. Thanks for watching. Right, guys. See you soon. What we've got now is I've got a Foden, which is a chain wagon, and a Leyland, which was a drop side wagon. The bodies are over here, but they won't fit in the tub. And what I'm going to do now is we're going to remove the paint off them. We've also got the trailer we talked about that I'm going to load up. That's all been stripped down to its components. And in there I've got the 2 cabs and chassis, the frame for underneath the cab, and the wheels, and also the bogie for turning the trailer. So if you do this, you need a face mask and some safety glasses. When I was an apprentice plumber, an indentured apprentice in the 60s, and the first time I used this, I put a cap full of caustic soda down a sink drain, and then poured a kettle of hot water in. It came out like a volcano. Don't do that, it's not good. Always put the water in first, boil a kettle, and half fill your container. You're going to try and get the water above the bits you want to take the paint off. That'll do that. And then with cold water, top it up, just to take that little bit of heat out of the water that you're using, because it tends to react very badly with boiling water. Put those out of the way. The caustic soda, you can get it from Amazon. Yeah, it doesn't cost much. It's a drain cleaner basically, and about that much in a little tub. You can gauge how big the tub is by the size of my hand. It's not a huge amount. When you put it in, stand back in case you drop it. I'll tell you what I've done here first before I do that. An old washing up bowl, and then the container that you're going to put your caustic in, so that if you do spill it, or you splash it, or it moves or whatever, it goes into the washing up bowl, and not all over you and the floor, which wouldn't be very good at all. Remember, this stuff's it's for unclogging drains that nobody else can unclog. It will burn you. When you put the stuff in, sprinkle it very carefully. It drops in. Don't just throw the tub in. If you do, you'll get an awful big reaction. You can see that from the little bit there that I've put in, there's a reaction already. The paint's changing colour. Put some more on that yellow one. And that's the way to go with it. And you can see that it's actually burning the paint off the top of that yellow one straight away. Put some more on the cabinet green one and it'll do the same thing. The water's changing colour. Don't dip your fingers in there. It's very caustic. As you go along, you can add a little bit more at a time. And it shouldn't react quite as violently. I say shouldn't, but if you burn yourself doing this, it ain't my fault. Leave it for a few minutes, a few seconds, and you can see already the paint's coming off that yellow one. That's not the original paint, I'd say. The original paint's a bit more difficult to get off than that. To get all the paint off this would normally take about a half an hour, I reckon. You can see the red stain coming up here, and that's the wheels off the two trucks and the trailer. They were all red. When they come out, they'll all be bare metal. I can go in there now. Then you need to wear, if you're going to splash around in there, you need to wear gloves. I suppose I should have put them on before I put the caustic in, but it doesn't. Not going to get all over me there. He said struggle to get the glove on. And once you've got a glove on, give it a stir around. What you need to do as well, it's a bit like making pancakes. Give it 10 minutes this side, then pick them up with a pair of pliers and turn them over. You can see by that the paint fell off it then when it dropped back into the water, didn't it? And that's what it'll do. It's taken most of that one off already. I'm turning them over now just so I can show you before I close the video off. I don't know if you can hear that sushing noise. But that's the caustic soda having another go at fresh paint. I'll finish the video off in half an hour or so when I've had a good soak. Okay, the trucks have been in there for a good half hour now, and I'm going to take them out and rinse them off. Now again, this is only the way I do this. Other people will do it completely differently, and they may be right, I may be wrong. It's entirely down to you how you do it if you want to do this. The way I do it is pour the caustic down the sink directly onto the drain very carefully. Don't throw it in, pour it in. You don't want it splashing back at you. You don't want it on your worktops. You don't want it on any materials it might burn through. You've seen the way it goes through the paint. So if you've got any painted surfaces, it'd be a great idea not to get this stuff on them. So I get as much out as I can so that the bodies of the trucks are visible. Then get them out and on the tap and a good scrub with a toothbrush. Again, being careful you don't get it in your eyes. Make sure you wear something over your eyes. Even though you're rinsing it off now and diluting it a lot, you really don't want it in your eyes, because it's still there, it's still caustic. And you can see it's broken the paint down completely. The paint that's left on just brushes off. It's broken the bond between the paint and the metal completely. And you need to do this so that you can get a decent paint job on your restoration, really. The one that I'm doing now, it looks as though whoever had done it, it's obviously been, somebody's obviously attempted to restore it, and it looks as though they painted, it looks as though they've cleaned it off somehow, whether they've used a caustic bath or they've used a wire brush, who knows. But then it looks as though they've hand painted it, and that's really not the way to go. And I'll show you what I do. I either spray them with an airbrush. Look at that. That's fabulous, isn't it? And it's brought all the paint off, it's all gone. Half an hour. You can't argue with that. Put them on a kitchen towel to dry off. Start with your next one. A little Foden. I started driving heavy trucks in the very early 70s, I think it was 1971. And I didn't drive one of these Fodens, but I did drive an Atkinson, and it of about the same era, and I drove an ERF of the same era as well, and they both had wooden floors, and I guess this would have done in its heyday when it was a working wagon. That's brought that green paint off better than it brought the yellow off. There you go. Who knew? The front's still got a bit on. On the grill there, the grill's really quite difficult to get it out of because it's quite detailed. But that's it, it's gone now. Nothing inside the cab. That one's done. It's two done. Then we need to get the rest of this caustic solution out. But I've got all the tyres in there as well. So not the tyres, the wheels and the frames in there. So I've still got to be a bit careful with it. Oh, turn the tap off while I'm doing it. That's not good. Oh. I always leave the plug in just in case I scoop up a wheel. Like that. And I'm very carefully pour it all down the drain. There we go. And again, all the paint's gone off that. There's a couple of little bits lingering in there, but the toothbrush just brings them off. As I say, I would make sure you cover your eyes when you're doing this bit, because if you don't, you know what a toothbrush is like. It's the bristles flick stuff like you, don't they? And the rest of that will clean up with the wire brush. Wire brush on a Dremel, do that. That's the one for the Foden. Here's the one for the little trailer, the dog trailer. Motor and drag, as we used to call them. That goes on there, there's no paint left on that at all. The front of the chassis from the Leyland, and that's really quite badly bent. We'll sort that out. Once you've got all the paint off, you can see exactly where you're going with it. Nice that. Again, a little bit of straightening. That's very crooked at the front there where the number plate would go. These are wheels. A couple of handfuls of them. Dumping this on kitchen towel over here, by the way. I know you can't see it on the camera. Otherwise my wife would kill me for scarring the worktops. And once all this stuff's been rinsed, it should be safe to handle and then dried off. Make sure you then rinse all the bits and pieces that you've used. And you do two jobs. If your wife complains to you or your partner complains to you, you can say you clean the drains out as well. Now I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but there's paint at the bottom of that. Again, that's another reason why I would put it in the washing up bowl, because that's going to end up all over your worktops, isn't it? Come off that. It's nice. Okay, so I'll carry on washing these off. I'm going to do the bodies of the trucks, the flatbed and the two drop side bodies. You don't need to watch that because you've seen it'll be exactly the same as this. So there we go. I'll show you when I start grinding and polishing it all up. See you in a bit. Hello guys, right. Back now. We've got from the caustic bath, and that's how the truck comes out. And it looks all dull and horrible, doesn't it? Not a good looking thing at all. And I don't think the paint would stick very well to that either. It's oxidised quite badly. This is what you want. So it's all nice and shiny and clean. And the way to get that is to, give me a second, a Dremel type drill. You can get all sorts of attachments for them. If you buy a kit, they come with all sorts of attachments and a lot of patience basically. So I'll take that one off. They're the heads that I use, or I have been using on this particular truck. One brass one that's nice and soft, and it gets into all the nooks and crannies. And I find it's best to start off with like a broom shaped one. While we go on this set, it's very noisy, I'm afraid. And as you can see, it comes off really quite easily, but it takes a lot of patience. You're going to have to be doing it for quite some time. But once you've started, let me turn it off again. Once you've started, you get quite a nice finish on it. That's not bad at all, that, to be fair. And as I say, it's a cone shaped, like a broom shaped head that I used for the first one. And it gets into most of the nooks and crannies. So that's only for a rough first doing, and that's really quite good, isn't it? It's taken all that oxidation off that the caustic soda caused. When you do it, don't forget to do, if you do this sort of thing, don't forget to do the inside because you want to spray in there, otherwise you'll leave it that grey colour, and that doesn't look right at all. So don't forget to do the inside of that. And it's, I think that's, you know, these will look quite good. One thing I was going to show you, if you're at all interested, these guys made these things 70 years ago. It's 1957, this one, and they've done it so well that whoever made the die for this must have spent hours on it. The door handle and the 3 hinges for the door, and more importantly, I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but if you look carefully, it still looks a bit blue on the inside, but the inside of the grill there, you can see the radiator. They depicted a radiator on the inside of that. I think that's absolutely fabulous. And to think that 70 years later, somebody like myself and many other people doing this are taking the paint off these things, taking them apart, cleaning them up, repainting them, putting them back together again, and they'll last another 70 years without any trouble at all. Somebody in 70 years time is going to say, have this in their hand and say, this is 140 years old. I think that's fantastic. But then again, I'm just a soft old bugger. But there you go. Fantastic, isn't it? So that's where we're up to on that Foden. I've got you can see I've got an array of them here. I did 3 at a time, and a little dog trailer for the motor and drag. The tanker, taking it apart, I've cleaned the sheet metal up, and a bit of panel beating on it as well to, well, not straighten it out, but get it back to where it was, take all the big dents out, and a little bit of filler to take out the little dents. And those black marks on it are just aging on the metal, that's all. So that's quite nice. It's back to its original shape all the way around. All the tabs are still there to hold it on. Done up the ladder. There's a little video somewhere of the ladder. That's all nice and straight now. Runs in a nice straight line. All the tabs are nice and straight. I thought that was riveted on, but it's not. It's just on tabs. The ladder going up to the side of the wagon, I think that's been Jap-lacked. The old fellas like me will know what Jap-lack is. Younger fellas might not. It was a black paint. It went as hard as hell. It was good stuff, and I think that's what they've done with that ladder. The plate for under the front axle, under the cab, that's all nice and clean. The little axle hangers here are both loose, but I don't know whether to tighten them up or not, because tightening them up, tightening the tabs up underneath there, might mean that I can't get the axle back through. I'll make a decision on that later on. The wheels are a bit fiddly, and on this one they're a little bit battered as well. I know that's quite a long way away, but you can see that they're quite battered, but they clean up quite well. Oh, I've not cleaned that one, that's interesting. That's because it's not off this truck. So they clean up quite well. They need a little bit of sandpaper, a little bit of filing on the edges, because there's some sharp edges on those. And that's all there is to it, really. I've straightened the cab. You might remember I mentioned that the cab was a little bit bent backwards, and it's all nice and straight now, so it sits there. I'll just show you what I've got for the mould for the back of the tank. And I've got to be dead careful with this. So that's being moulded now. It's in a little mould block, and it's full of silicone. I know there's a lot of blue tack in there, but that's holding it off the bottom so that the silicone can get underneath it. Put that back where I got it from. And that's about where we're up to. So I've got many hours worth grinding this, excuse me, of grinding the oxide off it, off all of this, and that should annoy my wife greatly because she doesn't like the noise. Speak to you soon. Ta-da.